during the COVID, employees, including myself, agreed to a 15% wage cut to help the business. But since returning, our wage structure has changed, and most staff get allowances of £20 per day plus £6 an hour, as well as their basic pay. As managers, it apparently is in our basic pay. The problem is my employer cannot tell me what part of my basic pay is made up of these added allowances. And I'm querying this as a colleague who was on a lower basic salary pre-pandemic is now on a higher basic than myself. And my legal question to you is, am I entitled to know what part of my basic pay is made up of these extras? And if I think I'm entitled to more, which I think at the moment, and my employer can't explain why, shall I initiate the informal grievance process and take it to ACAS for early conciliation?
Okay.
And I've got until the end of May to do this.
Right, Maria, first of all, what does your contract say your salary is?
We don't have new contracts.
Don't you have... It was a letter issued to say you're getting a pay cut?
Yes, everybody agreed in the business to take a 15%.
And did that specify... OK, so that's a 15%. So that's a percentage. That doesn't affect the structural balance between basic pay and allowances. Why... At some point, you must have had a letter saying your basic pay is X and your allowances are Y and Z.
No.
Have you asked your employer for such a letter?
Yes.
Don't identify them, but what sort of organisation is it?
Aviation.
How have they responded to your request?
They can't answer because they've got not a lot of staff on the ground at the moment and they're trying to recover from the pandemic. Yeah. And they said that they can try and help me, but they cannot tell me what part of this is in my basic pay. So I said to them, I think I'm being underpaid.
Yeah, OK. Your call from last year is coming back to me now, actually, Maria, and I remember who you work for, but we're not going to say it. The first question is, why does it matter? If you know how much you're paid, why does it actually matter how much is called basic and how much is called allowance?
Because I think, Daniel, I'm entitled to $23,000 and they're paying me $20,000. So I want to know how they've reached that figure. Fine. And they said, we can't tell you, but it is correct. OK. So here's what I would do. I would make an application to an employment tribunal, but use the airline. It's an airline, isn't it? Use the airline's formal grievance process first. But then make an application to an employment tribunal for what's called a declaration as to your terms and conditions, which is that it's requiring them to give you a statement breaking down your terms and conditions and how your pay is calculated, and at the same time issue a claim in the same claim asking for an itemised payslip, because you have a legal right to an itemised payslip setting out how the different components of your pay break down. Now, you mentioned that you've got a 3-month deadline coming up. Just explain that to me, because presumably you're paid every month, and so your rolling 3 months resets every month. Yes, so my first pay slip with this new wage that I wasn't happy with was the 28th of February 2022. So I estimated in my own mind that it was about the 26th of May if I wanted to involve ACAS, but I wasn't really sure if ACAS were the right people to go.
Oh, yes, they absolutely are. You notify ACAS and you then get 6 weeks, or there's 6 weeks to try to resolve it informally before you put a claim into the tribunal. You're right. It's actually going to be the 27th of May, which is the deadline for notifying ACAS. So that means there's not time to lodge a formal grievance, although what I would do, you've got a few days, I'd put in a formal grievance to your employer in the next couple of days and say, to protect my position in the tribunal, I've got to issue ACAS early conciliation, the ACAS early conciliation process, but I'm quite happy to put that on hold for as long as the law allows, between you and I, 6 weeks, whilst you resolve this or try to resolve this internally. Once you do that, they'll probably put... I'm not saying you'll get the answer you want, but I think it's likely they'll put you to the top of the queue in terms of someone's going to look at it and actually try to work out what's going on, rather than just giving you the brush off, Maria.